Hi, come on in.
And join in. It's the Very Merry Life. Hi, I'm Mary Hendricks, and you might know me as that relatable AF Mama over on Instagram who hopefully feels like an old friend at this point. And if not, it won't be long till it feels that way as we get raw, unfiltered, and very unapologetic in all things motherhood, marriage, sex, and more. From moments worth savoring to moments worth surviving, get ready to leave feeling seen and supported. You have a friend here now, so hey, take a seat. What's going on? All right. Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode. I'm excited. I'm pumped for this one. This is going to be an intriguing one. And obviously, you guys know that I'm like a mom podcast per se, but it's the Very Merry Life, which is basically anything that I'm into and intrigued by. So you all get to experience this with me. So I'm pumped. I have Jessica Lynne here, and I'm going to give you a second. I want you to introduce yourself.
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So obviously my name's Jessica. I am a psychic medium. I've been doing this for quite a few years now, but I only recently opened my business up maybe 18 months ago. So still very fresh, but yeah, I'm just loving every second of it. Yeah. It's amazing.
Okay. And so you're a psychic medium. What does that mean? Like explain all that.
Okay. Yeah, so a lot of people get confused about like psychics and mediums and who's who and what's what. So I refer to myself as both. So a psychic is somebody who can connect to you and your energy, and they can sort of pick up on things that are going to happen within your life, like, you know, that future kind of stuff. Okay. And I guess a medium is a person who can connect with your loved ones on the other side. Okay. So I do a bit of both throughout my readings. It kind of just flips and flops between both of them, which is really nice.
Yeah. And has this obviously been something that it's got to be something that you've been born with, that you've lived with your entire life, right?
Yeah. It was just sort of, it was more like, you know how you get that really like good like gut instinct where you're like, oh my God, I swear like this is about to happen. Like I got so many of those where I'm like, I swear this person's going to walk into the room right now. Yeah. And I couldn't explain it, and it was too quick to like do anything with the information. Yep. So it's kind of like premonition type stuff. That's what I sort of started out with. And then, but I was always obsessed with like psychics and mediums, and like, you know, I loved to do meditation when I was in high school, and I sort of was like slowly building myself up to this. Okay. But I kind of didn't really know what the hell I was doing, to be fair. Yeah. I was like, I feel all this random shit. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, and I saw a psychic medium, and she's like, Jess, you should be able to like turn this on and off like a light switch. Like you should be like on the other side of this table. And I'm like, well, how? Like, what do you mean? Yeah. So then I got so intrigued, and I ended up stumbling across this woman who was doing a course on psychic mediumship, like beginners. And I thought, why not? I just dragged my friend along, and I'm like, let's just do this and see what happens. And it came so naturally to me. I still remember the first person I channeled for, and it was like I'd always done it. Yeah. It's like this feeling came, and it just all started coming in waves. And my friend's like, I'm getting nothing. I'm like, oh no. So she was like stabbing in the dark, and she's like, I think I'm more of a healer than I am of like a medium. But for me, that kind of like, I guess, modality, it just came so naturally, which was just so weird.
I believe it. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm very skeptical sometimes of it. I've never sought it out. I remember being in New Orleans, Louisiana, and that's like supposed to be like a hot spot for like, I don't know, that stuff. I don't know the dynamics of it, but that's what everyone says. It's like this big place to go for medium readings and stuff like that. And my sister-in-law got one, and a few friends of mine got one. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm going to stay back. But when my sister-in-law came back, she was like, that was wild. She was like, that was the most wild experience I've ever done, any of that. And I was like, okay, well, now I'm intrigued. But I think I kind of understand it from another, like I've always been someone that can like see colors of people, if that makes sense. Like I can
like auras.
Yeah. So I've always been able to read stuff like that. I've always been able to like feel like energy stuff, because I used to, and I never understood what it was until oh, hold on. Sorry. My daughter's coming in.
No, that's fine.
Hi. Okay. Good night. Go sleep, okay? Okay, go ahead. Go see if he's okay. Mom life.
So cute.
But when like I used to work for a boss or anyone, and really, I would be in like the back room. I wouldn't even know that he walked in, and I knew. And I would look at my colleagues and I'd be like, he's here. And they'd be like, how do you know?
Oh my God.
He'd be like, how do you know? And I was like, you could feel it. It's like the air got heavy. It was like a thickness to the air. And it was like, I promise you he is in this building right now. And sure enough, I'd be right. So I get that stuff, but it's like the beyond where I'm like, I don't know. I get so confused, but.
Yes. But that's kind of like what I was describing. It's like you can pick up on other people's energy, you can feel and you can read the room. And like, it's just this like, it's kind of how it started for me. Who knows? Maybe you're a psychic medium and you just don't even know it yet.
You never know. I get deja vu a lot, so I like to go on that one. I'm like, I have deja vu a ton. So I'm like, hey, I think I predicted this. You never know. You
maybe.
Never know. Yeah.
You're skeptical of yourself.
I'm skeptical of
your
myself.
own ability.
Yeah. You never know. So when you do readings, do you do them in person or do you do them on like over virtual? What do you do?
Most of mine are virtual. Okay. So I do like Zoom, Instagram video chat. If people are local, we can just do like FaceTime, whatever works for them. I don't tend to do too many in-persons. It's just kind of easier for both of us. Yeah. And then I can read for people all over the world. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm going to have you read for me. I want to see what this is about.
I would love to. Yeah. Get through your skepticism.
Get through it, yeah. For everyone listening, like I literally am so intrigued by this. And I was talking to, I had a guest on earlier this morning and her and I were talking and she was saying that she unfortunately miscarried and she was like, I know it was a boy. And she said, before then I had a dream. And she said, I had a dream that I was holding him and running through like buildings and I could hear bombs going off. And like, it was just like, she said it was such a wild dream and said, when I tell people that, they're like, that sounds nuts. And she was like, I know that's what it was. And she said it was so real. And so when she miscarried, it like all kind of made sense. And when I said that I was going to come talk to you, she's like, I'm so intrigued to see what that is about, because you hear of stories like that where it's like, I follow someone who recently lost her daughter and she was telling the story online and she said that, you know, I'm going to sound like a crazy person. She said, I was holding this blanket and immediately I heard my daughter's voice say, this is for my new baby cousin, who's a girl, and her brother or sister had a new baby and they had no idea what the sex of the baby was going to be. And sure enough, the baby was born the next day and it ended up being a girl. And she said, she was like, I just sat there and I heard something for a brief second. It was just clear as day saying, this is for my new baby cousin, blah, blah, blah. Like it was clear. And I was like, that is wild.
That gives me the goosebumps.
Yeah. So like when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, I want to believe that that's true. So I'm going on that.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, a lot of the time when we get these, you know, people will describe them as like vivid dreams or like, you know, just these moments of like clarity and you don't know where they came from.
Yeah.
That's a visitation.
Yeah.
That's like with the lady that miscarried, that was her baby's soul.
Yeah.
Like showing her these things and sort of, I guess, although the dream to her was like a bit chaotic, it was almost like her baby was with her at that time to sort of say, you know, this is how it's going to feel.
Yeah.
It's going to feel like it's freaking chaos, but then give her the sense of comfort in knowing that the soul's with her and is never going to leave her.
Yeah.
And I feel like with the other one, with the baby coming through, predicting the sex of the cousin, which is so cool.
Yeah.
It was just her way, or the baby's way of just showing the presence, you know, and that the soul's there.
Yeah.
I love all that stuff.
I think
like,
it's so
you know, when
cool.
you have these really vivid dreams, you're like, I swear to God, they were like standing in front of me and telling me something. And it's like, that's not your imagination. Like, this is the soul coming through in your dream because it's the only way that they can get your attention.
Well, and I had something like that. Well, I again, talking back on my experience, I had something like that. My husband's dad died, back 6 months after we got married, and he was always sick the whole time that we knew each other. And I always knew that he was unwell and he always looked sickly. And I woke up from a dream and I woke my husband up immediately. And I told him, I said, I had a dream that we were sitting around my kitchen table and I looked across the table and my father-in-law was sitting there and he looked so good. And I remember asking him, and it was like, you knew that he was gone, but it wasn't weird that he was sitting there. And I remember in the dream just looking at him being like, how do you feel? And he just looked at me and said, oh God, I feel so good. And I woke up and I told my husband that. I was like, I said, I don't take it with a grain of salt. I don't know what that is, but I was like, that just brought me comfort. I was like, it was like a very cool dream. So
wow.
Hey,
that is so amazing. They're the ones I'm talking about where you're like, they look so good. They look normal. Like they're just coming through going, I'm good now. Like, thank God I'm out of that body that was failing me, because, they get this instant, I don't know, relief. And it's actually really interesting. I had this happen to me, and it was the first time this ever happened. My sister's grandma, so we have different parents. She's my half sister. Her grandma was passing, and I was talking to my sister on the phone, and I was like, has she passed yet? And she's like, no. And I'm like, oh. And I'm like, because I'm starting to feel her soul. Like I can feel her like kind of with me now, even though she hasn't left the physical world. So she started coming through to me, and she was explaining to me all the things that were going on in the room that my sister was sitting in. And I was like, I'm like, Georgia, like, did someone like go to sit down on a chair and then like they missed the chair and they like landed on the floor or something? Like, and she goes, oh my God. I'm like, what? She goes, Dad went to sit like on a pillow on the floor and he missed the pillow and then landed on the floor, and we all like cracked up laughing. Like this happened like 10 minutes ago. I'm like, what? I'm like, so her soul is like half transitioning. She's still here, but she's kind of in the spirit world, which I never thought was possible to communicate with a soul that hasn't gone yet. But she was just trying to give them comfort in knowing that she knew what was going on and she was with them, and that she found that really funny.
I mean, I could believe it. I follow on TikTok a slew of hospice nurses because I just think it's so intriguing, and I'll be frank, I think death is terrifying. I think it's not terrifying. I think it's so unknown. So I think that's why, like, even not my skepticism, I think it's so baffling to me to think that something more could be out there. And it's not because I don't believe, it's just, I can't grip onto what that would ever be. Like, cause I can't imagine. I don't know. It's so crazy to me. But I follow all these hospice nurses, and all of them, even regardless of the religious affiliation, any of that, have all said that there is a moment where, people will call out to someone around the room, or they will just look around the room, like people are standing there, and they'll see like dead pets or dead loved ones that have passed on before, or anything like that. It's wild. I know, my mom even said, like, my mom was with my uncle when my uncle passed away, and she was really close with my mom. And right after he passed, his wife called my mom and just was telling her about it, and just said his last words out of his mouth was, "I'm free." Oh. Said, I like looked around and said, God. "Oh, I'm free." And just, that was it. And I'm like, that's weird. I was like, that's so weird. I was like, what does that mean?
Oh, wow. That is just, I love stuff like that. Like, just the sense of, well, even when I was connecting to my sister's nan, like the comfort and like the ease that she came through, and like her physical body wasn't like that at the time. It was like, towards the end of her life where, the breathing becomes affected, and it wasn't nice to be seeing that. But I wasn't connecting with any of that. All I was feeling was just like her soul, like laughing and just like almost like, I'm good, like just tell them I'm fine. And it's got to be this instant, like, I guess, as you say, freedom, like this lightness that just takes over, and it's sort of like you're not scared anymore.
Yeah. I hope so. I really hope so.
I know. And I was thinking too, when you were saying that, how you're like, you can't, I guess, grasp the concept of there could be something more. Maybe it's also you hoping that it's true and not wanting to be disappointed.
Yeah. I think, well, I definitely was thinking about this the other night, where I was like, what this, and then I got like anxious, and I was like, oh, stop. Like, I go down rabbit holes sometimes, but I was like, what if when you die, you immediately start again? but you don't know, because I'm like, I don't remember. If that were the case, then I wouldn't have remembered a past life of mine. So what if you just keep repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating and you just don't know? And I was like, that sounds exhausting. I was like, oh my God, I just want like some moment to like take a break. And I just like went down this rabbit hole and it's like, oh, you need to chill out, Mary.
Yeah. No, you know what I think? From what I can understand or what I've channeled, I think that you go to the other side and then, you know, people have referenced here that like you sign on to like your next life if you're going to do that. So you're like, these are going to be the lessons I want. These are going to be the types of people that I'm going to be interacting with. Maybe you have soul contracts where you're like, you know, I'm going to see this person down the road. And you know, when you meet someone, you're like, I feel like I know you. Like, this is the weirdest vibe. Like, we feel like we've known each other forever. They're like soul connections. Like, you kind of knew you were going to see each other again in this life for whatever reason, to test each other, to support each other, whatever. So I don't feel as though that you pass and you go straight in. I feel as though you pass, you reflect, you think about whether you know, want to come back again in the situation that you want to come back into. Yeah. Like, in a way, I'm kind of like, can't believe I signed up for this life. What the fuck's wrong with me?
Yeah, I know, right? I know.
Like, stuck up for punishment.
I know. Well, and that's what, it's so weird. There's so many, like, and I'm sure you've gotten it, because I'm sure there depends on your religion and things like that. And just, I mean, have you been questioned based off of religious stuff? Like, any of that, like, because I feel like a lot of skepticism comes from the religious aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily have that. Like, I'm not uber religious. I believe in something. As to what that is, I'm not like, I don't know, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like religion definitely dictates what you think of what the afterlife is. And
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
I think so.
What about bad? Have you channeled anyone that's like been really bad?
Well, no.
Okay.
Well, so the way that I read is I don't bring in any like fear-based energies, negative vibes, spirits that don't come with like the highest good. So the only reason I'm channeling is to bring people comfort and closure and peace. Like, I'm not interested in, you know, and this is really hard because when people like go back to me like 4 or 5 years ago when I wanted to learn how to do this, there are different types of teachers. There's like teachers who are very much with, you know, we're serving the community, like the spiritual community. We're coming from a place of love. We're doing this to give people comfort and to help people. And then there's other people that sort of teach with like that fear-based mentality where they're like, you know, if you don't do like what I say, then you're going to get haunted. Or like, if you don't do all these rituals, like, you know, this person's coming, you know, they're saying this and, you know, this is going to happen to you, or be careful about this. Like, I hate that shit. Like, no one needs to see a medium and then walk away shit scared. Like, that is not what this is all about. And this is also why it kind of gives, you know, mediums a bad name when you've got people out there like trying to make people frightened, or like, let's do Ouija boards and everyone have a fit. And like, I'm not about that at all. So I've never channeled like a dark spirit because I have so many boundaries. I just don't deal with that stuff. I don't play in that space.
Yeah. Do you think that they exist? Do you think that they exist?
We'll be back after a quick break.
Eye-Opening Moments podcasts are real-life stories of adversity, encounters, and perspectives. They are moments that can lift your spirits, give you some food for thought, or move you. For the introspective mind that likes to reflect, discover, and find solutions or meaning in a complex life, listen to Eye-Opening Moments podcasts.
I don't think that there's like ghosts and stuff. Like, I think that's all just crap. But with spirits, you know, if you've got someone here in the physical world who isn't a nice person, a lot of the time when they cross over, they're still not a nice person. So sometimes their soul grows, like, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the time spirits are exactly the same as what they were here. So I've had my sister who's passed away. She was 2 years younger than me, and she wasn't necessarily the nicest human, right? So you can have spirits that come and sort of try and play with you and stuff, and maybe are a bit trickster and, you know, aren't great energy. They can come around, but a lot of the time it's people who you know. So I kind of just block out her energy because I'm like, I can't be bothered dealing with you. So if you ever feel like you're like being, haunted, or you're like, something feels weird in this house or whatever, a lot of the time it's either someone who you know or someone who was associated with the area.
Well, that would be, you have to check out, after you get off of here, you have to go to my Instagram page and you have to go to my ghost highlight. You have to see it.
Oh,
the previous owner of our house died in, this bedroom. And it wasn't like, it wasn't old age or anything. I think he had a heart attack or something. But that's the only thing I know about our house. It's not that old. It's like, it was born, it's not that old. It was created in built in 1989. It's not that old. But I know that history, but there was a lot of shit that happened in my daughter's bedroom. The one that just came in to say goodnight, her bedroom, where you can see like a bunch of crap in her camera. And granted, that might be dust, but a lot of it was weird. And her like swatting at things to get out of her, and her telling someone to be nice to me and things like that. Be nice to mommy and whatever.
Wow.
And then, I made a story because nothing's really happened. A lot of it happened when I was pregnant, when I was pregnant with my final, a lot of it happened when I was pregnant. And I think it was when I was a couple of months postpartum, I went to her bedroom at the time. Yeah. Her bedroom, her door was closed. Like her door was closed. We used to put her to bed, close her door. And she started freaking out, like crying hysterically. I tried getting in her bedroom and I couldn't turn the handle. It felt, and I fully expected for her to be on the other side. Like, if someone comes and turns door handle while you're turning it at the same time, they jam. I expected to see her on the other side of the door. She wasn't. She was all the way in the corner of her room, the far corner of her room, terrified. And so I got in there, and I don't really know what I believe, but every hair on my body stood up, and I looked at her and I was like, come out here. And I grabbed her out of her room and I went downstairs and I said, I went to my husband and I'm like, I'm freaking out right now. I was like, that was not normal. God. Whatever just happened, something was holding her door shut for me to not be able to get in there. And that's the only, I don't know what else, nothing else has really happened. I went in there and I taught her how to say a prayer. And not that I'm not that religious. I just did everything I could. And I basically went in and I was like, I don't know if something's here, but if you are, get the fuck out of my house because I'm not going to mess around. Like mom wrath will come down on you. And then nothing really happened, but I don't know. It was wild. You have to watch my stories.
I will.
Yeah.
I believe you. I 100% believe you. Like spirits have the ability to be able to affect our physical environment.
Yeah.
And they have energy and they build that energy up to be able to do these things. But like I said, this person must just still be connected to the home in some way. So there's probably a lot of residual energy as well as the spirit. So that's what sort of has made this possible. But the best thing that you did was ask them to leave. And people think that that's so like, what the fuck, like as if they're going to listen to you kind of thing. But a lot of the time they do. So that's one of the things that I would say, if anything, any hauntings or you feel that there's weird shit going on in your house, you can just ask the spirit to leave. The way that I got my sister to leave, it sounds so ridiculous, but I had to. Obviously I did a lot of clearing. So you can do like your sage or your Palo Santo or your incense or whatever. And I literally just like walk around my house and I kind of say like a prayer. I just say, Archangel Michael, angels and guides, please remove any negative fear-based energies from my home. Please remove any spirits that don't belong here. They're not welcome. And I used to say, my sister's spirit's not welcome here. But that's the kind of thing that you guys can do, even if you don't feel anything at the moment, just to sort of like make you feel like you're back to neutral in your house, particularly if you've moved house and it's a new space and you kind of just want to clear it all out. Just go around and say that and just like wave your sage and Palo Santo, particularly in the corners of the room, because they like to kind of hang out in like corners.
Well, that's what it was always the one corner by her door that she was always staring at. And now to this day, she won't let me close her door. So her door needs to stay open every single night. After that event, that was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. It was wild. And I don't know, like when I shared it, I got a bunch of response being like, that's a demon. Like, that's a demon. That's something bad. And I'm like, I don't think that's what it is. I don't know the history of who the man was that died here, but I do know that that's what happened. I do know that that room was his daughter's room. So I'm curious to see if that had any connection. And I don't know. I mean, with people are like, well, why would Cassidy say to him, be nice to mommy or anything like that? Like, I don't know what the conversation would be. And I don't know what the relationship with his previous wife was. Like, I don't know any of that stuff for who knows? Like, who knows? Nothing ever bad happened to me, but I just know that she was like, you got to be nice to mommy. And I was like, okay, well.
Yeah.
So
it's probably just the vibes, the energy that like he was like giving off. It was like not great. But I'm glad that it stopped. I'm glad that he listened to you.
Yeah, so far.
It's so powerful just to say, leave. Like, we're not welcome here anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, I was like, I gave it like I dead or not. Like, oh, fuck you. Oh.
I will kick your ass. Hardcore mom.
Yeah. All right. Hey, I'll rip you back from the dead. God.
I love that. Yeah. How interesting. I have to go back and watch that.
Yeah, watch it on watch it on my stories. Yeah, watch it on my stories. There's like a ghost highlight. You'll see it. It's like a ghost picture. And if you go through that, it'll detail everything. I shared it on TikTok too. And that actually gained a lot of traction when I shared it on TikTok. And I had another medium stitch it on TikTok. Forget her name. Starts with a B.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I'm glad you cleared it out. But I think it was obviously just this energy or whatever just still hanging around and needed to be told, see ya.
Crazy. Well, do you want to do a reading on me? I'm curious.
Yeah, I'll read for you. Yeah. Of course. Do you want me to do it now?
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm curious.
All right. I'll have to get stuff. Hang on.
Okay.
I like to scribble when I read for people. Kind of just keeps me connected.
Do you scribble like images or do you write things down or do you just – is it just lines? Like what do you scribble? I'm so curious. I want to know everything.
Like it's just like mumbo jumbo. Like sometimes there'll be like random words. Other times it's just like lines or circles or whatever. I kind of don't really think about it. I just sort of
do it.
Go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it help you zone? Does it just help you zone out?
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, like how our brains can do like two things at once. Yeah. Like we can be thinking about something, but we're doing something else.
Yeah.
So instead of like my logical mind just like running on tangents, it kind of like, it's like focusing that logical part of my mind. So then I can keep my thoughts and my emotions out of it. And the other side is just connecting to whatever I'm getting. So it kind of just keeps me like grounded going, okay, this little side, you can just keep drawing and that's what you're focusing on.
Yeah.
And then I can allow my mind to be clear enough to pick up on the information that I'm getting. So it just sort of works.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, I think that's cool. I'm so intrigued. I'm intrigued by all of this. Everyone that's listening, I'll put this video up on YouTube because that way everyone can watch this. I'm so intrigued.
Yeah, of course. All right. So the way that I work is that I'm just going to take a couple of minutes and I'm just going to connect to you and your energy and I'll just see who is around you. Then I'll come back to you with what I'm getting and hopefully you might be able to figure out who it is we're connecting with and then start deciphering the messages they have for you. So just give me a couple seconds and I'll see what I can get through. All right. There is a woman that steps forward for you, and the first thing that she's referencing to me is her chest. So I feel as though that she may have passed to do with something of the heart, the lungs, or the chest, or had a lot of difficulty breathing towards the end of her life. She also makes me feel like that I feel like that she was being monitored for something throughout a period of time. She didn't ever want to be a patient is what she's referencing. So she makes me feel like she's this like independent, like up and at them, like just wants to like always get shit done. And I feel as though that when she started to feel not like herself, that was really hard on her. And she always kept trying to do things even though people were telling her to slow down. So she's very much like kind of stuck in her ways. Her personality is she's very good at communicating actually, but she definitely tells you how it is. So she will not like sugarcoat things. She's very like direct in the way that she comes forward. Not she doesn't upset anyone, but she's just, it would take a little bit to change her mind.
Okay.
That's what she's referencing.
Okay.
Do you understand a woman that may have passed that has this sort of personality?
I wouldn't know of it. It would be, I mean, the only person I could think of would be my grandma, who she died of a heart attack. So
okay,
I would see that. I didn't know her. Well, I did, but like only for, I think she died when I was like 1 or 2. So I was little. So I didn't really know her personality. I would have to ask my mom after this. I'll have to record and ask her, because I've heard stories of her. And I think she was kind of just like a straight shooter, basically.
Yeah.
But I would have to ask my mom.
Well, that's what she's coming through as. She's like, I just kind of tell it how it is. Like, she's like, I don't like mess around. Like, she would only really have like really genuine, authentic people around her. Like, she wasn't playing with anyone that was like trying to pull the wool over her eyes. Yeah. She's like, no, I am like full, like what you see is what you get.
Okay.
I'm just going to see what she's observing of your life and sort of what is going on at the moment. She never wants you to feel alone, particularly when it comes to you being a mum. And she's also showing me here that it's been quite a journey for you mentally. Like, she's showing me your mental health journey and your ability to be able to overcome a lot of the things that you were telling yourself inside your own mind. So you had a lot of negative self-talk. She's showing me that that's something that's been really significant to your growth, is your ability to be able to move past that and to rewrite the things that you have been saying to yourself. Does that make sense to you throughout your journey?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she keeps showing me here also that when you were going through this, she's showing me a bit of hermit mode. So I feel as though there's a period of time where you kind of held your cards a bit close to your chest, because you're normally one who's very articulate and you're able to explain things very well. And it's like you couldn't really explain why you were feeling this way. It's just, it was the first time you weren't able to put things into words.
Mm-hmm.
You were just like consumed.
Mm-hmm.
And your ability to be able to come out of that hermit mode and come out of that way of being, to be able to now help other women navigate that time is something that's so special. So have you started to communicate with other women about your journey and help them heal from your experience? Is that something that you've ever looked into doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I do that. I do that a lot. I talk about, I recently just opened up about my experience. I don't do it anymore, but self-harm. That was a big thing because I couldn't, self-harm is a big thing where you can't get the words out. And you just, that was a big thing that I struggled with when I was younger, not anymore, thankfully. But yeah, I just opened up about that. So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. How amazing that she's validating that for you as something that she's watched you do and has seen you come such a long way from where you started. She's super proud. And she's really sad the fact that she hasn't been able to be here for you in the physical world, because she makes me feel like that there's part of your personality that's very much like hers. So she's showing me that you're very much like that straight shooter, and what you see is what you get, and you kind of get some of that from her.
Yeah.
And she's showing me that under the hood of the car, she's actually this really sweet, thoughtful person, and she really does care about people.
Yeah.
And she's like, and you're that too. And she's showing me here that sometimes when people meet you, you're a bit misunderstood. So sometimes maybe even other women might look at you and be like, oh my God, I think she's going to be a certain way. And then they actually get to know you and they're like, oh no, like you're totally different to what I thought you would be.
Yeah.
Do you get that a lot?
I did. I used to. I don't know if I do anymore, but I did when I was in college. I remember one of my best girlfriends in college. I remember her telling me she saw me in like a group thing and she was like, I did not want to come up to you. She's like, I thought like you were going to be mean. I was like, I'm not.
No, you're not at all. No. You're just sort of like, I don't know, you're just sort of more, you're authentic and you're real and you kind of just say it how it is. And sometimes that intimidates some people because they kind of like the fluff, whereas you don't really like the fluff.
I hate the fluff. I hate sugarcoating. Just cut right to it. Just tell me what's going on. Yeah.
Well, this woman loves that about you, and she's really asking you to really embrace that right now, because it's what's attracting people to you. And I feel like you've got so much more to do here with being able to help other people grow. And she's showing me here that you would sit back and be like, you know, I'm not even healed. Like, I feel like you're like, I'm not at the end of my journey. Like, I'm still trying to navigate shit every single day. But I feel like you finally got to a point where you're like, I think I know how to wrangle myself now. I know what my triggers are. I know when I'm starting to go down the rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. And now I have the tools to be able to pull myself out before I get too deep. Yeah. So have you sought a lot of help for this?
I haven't sought a lot. Not really. It's honestly, it's literally, as you just said, it's just been a lot of self-work and self-realization, mm-hmm. and just mm-hmm. being very honest with myself. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's just been very frank conversation with myself and knowing what I can and cannot handle. You literally mm-hmm. you just said it to a T. Like, mm-hmm. yeah, verbatim what was in my head.
You like call it's like you're your own like accountability coach.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. Yeah. You're so hard on yourself too, though. Yeah. She'll say that. Like, you'll be like, no, I'm like 0 or 100. And this is what sometimes gets you into trouble too. Yeah. Because you can't do 50%.
No, I can't. This is so weird right now because you're getting it perfect. That's literally me. Yes.
I like that. I'm like that too. That's why she's like showed me myself and I'm like, all right, I know what you're like.
Yes.
We're so the same. Yeah. I love that. But she just wants to she's just giving you so much love and so much encouragement and just wants you to know that you're on the right path. And she's also showing me here that there's so much more in store for you, particularly with putting pen to paper. So I feel as though if you haven't already written a book, I feel like that you will. And if you have, I feel like there's more. So have you thought about writing a book?
I would love to. I haven't figured out what I would do yet. So I love hearing that because that's maybe I just got to keep thinking. I got to keep thinking about it.
Yeah, well, I feel like your journey to now is so inspiring and would help so many young women to be able to navigate not just obviously the I guess their bodies and their minds and how that's all connected, but also like young mums.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've heard so many mums talk about they thought they knew what it was going to be like and then they became a mum and it was totally different. And if you've already got those sort of thoughts within your head about, you know, your self-worth and your self-care and everything, and then you kind of pile that in, I can only imagine your mind playing tricks on you during that time.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's so much here that you can share to help others, and maybe that's going to be part of what this book entails.
Yeah.
She's just really excited to see how this unfolds for you. And she's also showing me here that she's one of the people that loves to guide you and opens new doors. So if you want to do this book and you just don't know how and you're sort of like planting seeds, maybe just get a little bit more clear and maybe do a bit of like manifesting or writing down what it could look like for you. Okay. And then once you become clear, she can step in and start opening the doors and have people come your way, which is really cool.
Yeah. I love that. All right.
Oh, how amazing. Well, thank you for allowing me to connect with her.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
That was so cool.
I'm so glad. Little impromptu, like off the cuff. I'm so glad she came forward.
Yeah, right? That is so cool. Very neat. Awesome.
Oh, I love it. I love that she validated your personality too, because I really like that. Because we've never spoken before, so.
Yeah, that's me to a T. Crazy. That's wild. Awesome.
I know. Does that cut through a bit of your skepticism right there?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's intriguing. It's intriguing. I think, yeah. I don't know. There's so much to like think about right there, but I love it. I mean, if it is my grandma, her name would be Jean, Grandma Jean. If that's her, I mean, that'd be pretty fucking cool. So I'm gonna go on it. She, again, I don't really remember her a lot, but from what I've heard, she was a badass woman. So I'm gonna go with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was. She's very, very direct, but like I said, really sweet, and just wants the best for you.
Yeah,
which is really nice to know that she's around.
Yeah.
I love it.
So cool. Awesome. I think that is so neat. I'm gonna have to learn more about this. I'm gonna have to like keep investigating all of this.
You're so intrigued by it.
I am.
Delve deeper. It's unexplainable though.
Yeah.
It's like, even though I'm doing this, I don't know how they're like tapping into like my memories and
now. So
it's
question,
just fascinating.
You obviously don't have control over who steps forward in that situation. So is it just do you ever get people disappointed that certain people didn't step forward?
I can sometimes control it. Okay. So if we have someone that steps forward and maybe, because sometimes someone will step forward from just your family line that maybe you haven't even met here, and they'll be the first person to come through. Usually I like to get to the message because it's always dead on why they're stepping forward. But then I can try and navigate to somebody else. Or if someone's like, I just really want to connect with my mum. Yeah. Then I can be like, okay, well, what was her name? And then usually I'm able to pull the soul forward. Yeah. So you're not ever going to, in 99% of cases, you're not going to miss out on talking to the person that you want to. Yeah. However, in saying that, you put a pretense that it's not dial a spirit. Yeah. We can't be like, hey, come to the phone. We can try. And that's what I put out there. We can always try. And a lot of the time, they're waiting in the wings anyway. Yeah. So they're not going to let you down. Okay. Intriguing. Only reason I only ask. I think that's probably why my skepticism, I'm always so nervous. I had a sister that passed away. So I'm so intrigued if that would ever pop up. So I'm like, and not that I need to do it now, but I'm just like, I'm always so intrigued. And that's why I think I've always been very skeptical, because I've been always very afraid. Not afraid. I think emotionally guarded that if that were to be, if she were to pop up, I probably would have lost it. So yeah, maybe that's why she didn't. I know. Yeah. Good job. Yeah. On camera. Yeah. Yeah. Oh God. Crazy. But yeah, no, you could definitely try to connect with her soul. And you know what? Sometimes the person that steps forward is the one that you need to hear from the most, because maybe they relate to what you're going through right now. Like, I kind of like how your grandma came forward and was like relating to you and your personality and like really reflecting on your journey here, because she obviously maybe has seen you struggle throughout that whole period of time and has more of something to reflect on throughout the whole period of time. Yeah. Whereas maybe your sister maybe didn't see the whole story when she's on the other side, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So it doesn't mean she's not here. Yeah. It just means your grandma was stronger. She was watching. Yeah. She's like, I'm coming. I'm watching. Funny. Yeah. Intriguing. I love it. And for everyone here that's listening, I'm going to link all of Jessica's stuff in the show notes. So please, I mean, I'm telling you this right now. I'm kind of blown away. And you're talking to someone that's like very, very hesitant with this stuff. You hit every nail on the head. You literally just got me to a T. Like, if I could have just said my personality, like, but not just a personality that someone would pick up on their own. It's like things about my personality that you wouldn't know unless you truly get to know me. That's wild. No. That's wild. Your grandma knows. She knows. God, I hope you're not watching too much. Lord have mercy. Hope you don't see the icky bit. Lord have mercy. No, I actually put a reel up about that a while ago where I was like, your loved ones are not watching you have sex. It's not a thing. I know. Ugh. God, hope creepy. Not. Yeah. Hope not. Duck out, Grandma. Duck out. Lord. So funny. Too awesome. Good. Awesome. Yes. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for being on here. This is so cool. Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad we've connected. You're such my vibe. Another episode down. Thank you all so much for listening. If you loved today's episode, I would be so appreciative if you would leave a rating and review. I cannot begin to tell you how much those mean to me, but also how much they help me get in front of more eyes and more ears. As always, be sure to check back every Tuesday and Friday for a new episode, whether it's an episode with me and my husband, me and Katie, or just another incredible amazing guests. Stay tuned for more honest, real, raw chit-chat. And hey, do me a favor before you go. Remind yourself how amazing you are, how enough you are, how special you are. And boy, oh boy, I sure am glad to have you here. Thanks, friend.